Hey folks, welcome to Pol Ke Bol. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Saurabh Pol. Today I'm going to talk about big company or startup. Which one should you join, right? And once again, I think this is a topic very close to my heart because I have a unique experience of working in companies that have had like 150,000 employees, at one point of time. And I've also worked in companies where they had 15 employees, where I was literally the 15th one, right? Currently, I work at a company which has around 200 plus people. This is public information, it's on LinkedIn. And I've worked in companies that have had 1,000 people. I've worked in companies that have had like 50,000 people. You see, I've worked with MNCs, Indian MNCs. I've worked with international MNCs. I've worked with like Indian startups like Pandra Lok ka startup, which today has like 70, 80 people. And I've also worked with like startups that are based out of the US and Europe, mind you. So I've seen like different work cultures, right? And I've seen different sizes also. More or less, my entire experience has been in tech, except for like 1 year, which was in manufacturing, and like 6 months, which was in an ad agency, right? So that also, if as I said, majority marketing, except for 1 year in operations. Maybe a video on just that 1 year at operations. But I wanted to help people understand, right, to get a better perspective that what exactly does it mean to work in a big company, and what exactly does it mean to work in a smaller company or a startup, you know. Also remember there is a difference between a small company and a startup. Okay, like I know a company which has 100 people in it. Okay, but it is literally 10 years old, more than that in fact, if you ask me, like actually, yeah, 11, 12 years old. There are companies which are 1 year old and they have like 200 people in it. Okay. There are companies that are 35 years old and they have 1 lakh people in it. So time and your size are two different ways of judging a company. Okay. uh, when I mean, so let's divide it, right? Like big company, small company, startup. Those three are very different things. So let me start with actually that. Although many people think a small company and a startup are more or less the same, it may or may not be true. There is something also called as boutique firms, right? And boutique firms, I'll get into it. They are hybrid, right? So I'll not over intellectualize it. I know I'm guilty of doing that. But let me start with big companies, right? So a big company is something which has been there for like at least a decade. Okay, because it takes that time to become mature also as an organization. You can have a company which is 2 years old and it will have 3,000 or 5,000 people as its total workforce, but it's pointless because it will act like a 2 year old company, right? Like process set करने को time लगता है. Okay, for people to settle over there, time लगता है. So I would qualify a big company as a company which has been there for 10 years or more, and a company which has like good 5,000 people or more, right? So in companies में क्या होता है ना, सबसे पहली चीज, never forget, doesn't matter who you are, what you are. When you enter, you're nothing but a small cog in a very big machine. ठीक है, एक बहुत बड़ा मशीन होता है एंड आप उसके एक बहुत छोटे से हिस्से होते हो. ओके, बिकॉज इन आवर हेड्स वी ऑलवेज थिंक कि मैं हीरो, विच इज फाइन, दैट्स ह्यूमन नेचर. बट a big company, you will get lost over there. You will be like, क्या चल रहा है यहाँ पे? Okay, I don't care who you are, you will get lost over there, at least initially, right? So certain things about a big company, there are processes which someone has set which nobody fucking knows who it was, but it has been set now and everyone's been doing this for years. It's like many a times it's like festivals, right? And rituals ki yaar ye 100 200 साल पहले करते थे, अभी भी वही करेंगे हम. Oftentimes people forget like what did this start off as, what was the context when it was first initiated. So these processes are there which you will come as an outsider and you'll be like, ये क्या है, हम ये क्यों कर रहे हैं, क्या बकवास है. And you need to remember, like when in Rome, do as the Romans do. At least initially, in a big company, you will never be able to change the processes. Okay, it's almost impossible. In fact, if you try to do it, people will take offense and they'll be like, "Tu hero hai kya sale?" Unless you have been hired exactly to do that, and even then they'll hate you for it because that's human nature. Okay, even if you're hired at a senior level and people are like, the CEO is like, bro, तू ये जो यूनिट है और ये जो प्रोसेस है, इनको कचरा साफ करो. There's going to be a lot of pushback because inertia, right? It's literally one of Newton's laws. People don't, object which is not in motion will have a challenge, like getting into motion. See, this is why I didn't take engineering, right? मैं इतना pathetic है ये सब चीज में, but I understand the concept. So coming back, the point is inertia है लोगों में, like people will not change the processes, which means you will have to work uh, the way someone worked 10 years ago. Okay, so in a big company you are somewhat in a time machine कि यार क्या मतलब किधर है ये, मतलब what the fuck am I doing, why is it so inefficient, what the hell is this. So remember that much. Second, there will be such a huge distance between you and the top leadership more often than not, right? Such a huge distance, you will feel disconnected. Oftentimes you will deal at max with your boss and your boss's boss. In some cases, some people at max are like, मेरा जो boss का boss है, which is a super boss, उसके साथ बात कर लिया वही हो गया. Okay, like that is the be all and end all of it. Like वो और कभी bosses boss तो मतलब वो 6 महीने में एक बार मिलेगा, 3 महीने में एक बार मिलेगा. And then you have a lot of colleagues around you, and probably you will have a couple of juniors here and there, some interns lurking around somewhere. So that is how a big company feels like. It's a very large place. Okay, it's like a mall. Okay, it's like it doesn't feel personal. It feels कि तुम आ रहे हो, तुम अपना चीज खरीद रहे हो, तुम चले जा रहे हो. ठीक है, it's a mall. So wow, I just got it right. So now I got the analogy for this entire video. अभी देख कैसे बोलता है मैं. So जब आप मॉल में जाते हो, आपका कोई दोस्त यार नहीं होता वहाँ पे. They are all doing their jobs. Okay, no one's asking you how are you, how is everything in life and all. They're like, sir, आपका काम करो, आओ काम करो, log in, log out, get lost. Okay, so this is what works over there, right? They're very slow to change. Okay, now the reason they're very slow to change is because they have a lot of foundation, a lot of structure. Things have happened over there for so many years. So just like human beings, old companies and old people, they do not change easily. Neither their processes nor their goals for that matter, or the business models even. They'll be like, यार हम इतने साल से ये कर रहे थे, हम रिटेल में बेच रहे, ई कॉमर्स वगैरह देख लेंगे यार. The only way these companies really change, if it comes to their neck, गले पे आ गया, नाक के ऊपर से पानी जा रहा है, they are like, okay, now we need to innovate, now we need to do things. Okay, the best companies are the ones that don't need the nth hour, the 11th hour and the naak ke upar pani jana to innovate and do well, right? The best companies don't need that. Like if you look at an Apple or even a Reliance for that matter, and Tata's for that matter, they're so good. They're so good at innovating, eating themselves up, and renovating for that matter. I think Indian example mein they're so good. Samsung, internationally speaking, I feel is absolutely fantastic. Maruti, they are like, before someone else comes and disrupts us, we will do it ourselves. We do it to ourselves. So these big companies, the biggest challenge is कि भाई यहाँ पे change कैसे लेके आए. And because you will join as a young person over there, I don't think you'll be driving any change. You'll be lucky if you're part of a change operation. Okay, there are literally job profiles called change management. Okay, like literally like profiles like change management kar raha hai main. His entire responsibility is like he's implementing rules and regulations. There is another character you'll find in a very big company uh, called as the program manager. Now, a big company, the main challenge is just coordinating work. Okay, the pace of work is extremely slow. I don't need to tell you that. Okay, वो पोल के बोल आने का point नहीं है आपका. But what you will understand in this video is that what happens because there is so much inertia, because there are so many people and they are disparate. मतलब एक इधर है, एक उधर है, एक इधर है, एक आया नहीं है, एक कल आएगा. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on. So you need that central person who's managing the project. You will be like, ये project manager इसके साले को आता क्या है? You will say that from your perspective as a developer or a functional guy, but if you're a manager, like if you're a function head, and you have 100 people under you, like, I can't manage 100 people. So you need more layers below you, and for certain projects which are extremely important, you need a project manager. And वो जो project manager होता है, उसका काम बस यही होता है कि भाई single source of truth, just go out there and keep finding out कि क्या चल रहा है, and सब लोगों से एक चीज़ें लो, एक जगह पे collect करो और काम करो. Okay, so the pace is slow, there is a lot of bureaucracy, and of course when there are more people, that it's inefficient. This is the reality of a big company. I'm not naming any company, right? Like it's just any, like it's like कि इंडिया में ही ऐसा होता है, कहीं पे भी जाओ आप दुनिया में ऐसा ही होता है. Which is why they say ना, government needs to be efficient, we need less government, not big government, because the more people you add, it is horrible to manage. Like आप आपके family में भी देखिए ना, if you and your cousins, you know You want to plan something, but it's just only two, three cousins, four cousins coming together. It's easy to plan with four cousins. Imagine there are 15 cousins. Now try to organize even a simple dinner with 15 cousins or anyone, 15 family members. You'll lose your mind just trying to get people on a single phone call. नहीं होगा. लेकिन किसी को व्हाट्सएप पे रीच आउट करो, किसी को व्हाट्सएप कॉल करो, किसी को फ़ोन करो, किसी के घर पे जाके पूछो. लाइक इट्स इनसेन. लाइक अगर आपको 15 लोग मैनेज करने में इतना वाट लग रहा है, इमेजिन अ सीईओ इज हैंडलिंग अ लाख पीपल अंडर हिम. It's not an easy job. I'm not saying that because I'm a huge fan of CEOs. I'm not a huge fan of anyone for that matter, but I'm a huge fan of the responsibilities of a CEO, in the sense that, not a huge fan of the responsibility, the huge fan of how they execute. It's not an easy job. It's insane. You will be like, इतना करोड़ों क्यों मिलते हैं CEOs को? Bro, तुम मैनेज करके दिखाओ, 100 लोगों को मैनेज करके दिखाओ. Just try, and I'm not even asking you to turn a profit on those 100 people. I'm saying just manage 100 people. It's insane. Okay. um, and these CEOs, what they do is incredible. Okay, at all level. And I'm saying a CEO handling a 10 people company or a 100 people company or a 1 lakh people company, I have massive respect for them. Okay, that's my opinion. You can disagree with me, but you will know the importance of a CEO the moment you get a bad one. Okay, when you get a good CEO, you will be like, ha, ye acha hai. But when you get a bad CEO is when you know, fuck, this position is extremely important. Because वो एक आदमी या तो सबका काम को, you know if everyone is producing in his company, say 10, he can take it to 50. And if there are some CEOs, if everyone in the company is producing 50, they can take it down to 10. So they are amplifiers. Whether they are positive amplifiers or negative amplifiers depends on their quality and circumstances also in a lot of ways. But that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, it's a very crucial position. Okay, चलो तुमको आदमी को क्रेडिट नहीं देना, पोजीशन को क्रेडिट दो. बोलते हैं ना आर्मी में, that you don't salute the man, you salute the rank. So I would always recommend that if you're going and looking at a big company, look at the CEO and how that person is, and you will more or less find out कि वो company में क्या होता है. Because that is one funny thing I have noticed. No matter how big a place is, however the CEO wants it to be run, it runs that way, by the way. They have extreme control over the people under them, more or less. And then it percolates. What they believe in percolates right to the bottom. Okay. And oftentimes they're not aware what is happening right at the bottom, because not many people know this. A CEO has people above him or her. Okay. They're called board of directors or promoters for that matter. और ट्रस्टीज, डिपेंडिंग ऑन द कॉर्पोरेट स्ट्रक्चर. सो वो लोग के पास टाइम नहीं होगा तुम नए नवे लोगों से बात करने का. वंस इन अ वाइल दे विल सेंड अ मास ईमेल, वंस इन अ वाइल इन अ टाउन हॉल दे टॉक टू यू. ओके, बट यू विल नेवर नो द सीईओ एज अ पर्सन. Okay, in a big company. In fact, it's in your best interest if you don't know them as a person. Trust me on that one. And so I will say it's very impersonal in a big company. The work is extremely slow, right? And because of it, and you will see people over there who, you will wonder, ये क्या काम करता है यार, ये कौन है, ये क्या काम करता है, बस महीने में एक बार मुझसे अपडेट मांगता है, इसको आता नहीं है क्या कुछ, सिर्फ ये अपडेट मांगने का काम है साले का. So these thoughts will come to you a picture, right? How to succeed in a big company? Find a mentor. Okay, आप एक मार्गदर्शन के लिए आप किसी को ढूंढ लीजिए. Because in a big company you will need to stand on the shoulders of giants, in the sense that तुमको लगेगा मैं ऐसा परफॉर्म करेगा ना लोग हिल जाएंगे. Nobody will give a shit. Like, two people will take you in a corner, they'll third person will take your work from you, and a fourth person who's the boss will take all the credit of all the work that you have done. Okay, this will happen to you. I don't care who you are. Okay, uh, I'm very happy for you if this hasn't happened to you, but at least you know someone जिसके साथ ये हुआ है, and this is more common than not, right? So it's like a giant playground where if you can't defend yourself, you need someone else to defend you. And अगर कहीं भी आगे जाना है आपको, आपकी पहचान होनी चाहिए. And that this is something which people are not going to tell you, right? I'm telling you right now. And this is not a dirty thing like, oh my god, pehchan. No, no, no. It is called networking. You have to ensure you have someone in the company who vouches for you. Who's like, if Saurabh is there, they will be like कि कोई अच्छा काम आ रहा है, they'll be like, ये पोल को दो भाई, पोल is good at it, you know. And if there is like a team being set up and something, because आए दिन team setup होते रहते, कुछ भी random team setup होते रहते बड़े कंपनी में. They're like, हाँ, I want Paul in my team. अरे बट वो तो तेरे वैसे भी तेरे इसमें है नहीं ना. नहीं नहीं नहीं, आई नो द गाय, just involve him, he'll contribute, you know. And then people are like, yeah, I'll take your word for it, you know, I don't want to investigate, you know. So if you want to do well, find a mentor in a big company, okay? Which is not necessary in a small company, and I'll come to that later, right? अगर आप यंग हो, प्लीज आप एक मेंटोर ढूंढो. आपको लगेगा कि अरे ये तो चाटू पना हो गया, take it the way you want to take it. Ideally, it shouldn't be that way because many people now they want to take someone under their wing. You know कि आजा बच्चा आजा चल तेरे को सिखा देता हूँ थोड़ा बहुत, right? Then there are some people also who will say that but not actually give you anything and just treat you like a slave. Unfortunately, I've seen that also. So yeah, as you can see, I'm someone who's made a lot of mistakes. Huh? So learn from me is what I would say. So yeah, in these big companies, find a mentor, extremely important. Um, make friends, make friends, because if nothing else, because don't treat everyone like, you know what happens is in big companies, human beings do what human beings do. They do politics. Don't get involved in politics. That's my opinion plus advice, because I don't think it ends well and it distracts you from actually achieving things. पॉलिटिक्स, हाँ, कोई तुम्हारे साथ पॉलिटिक्स कर रहा है, कोई तुम्हारे बारे में गॉसिप कर रहा है, कोई एक्टिवली तुमको एक्सक्लूड कर रहा है चीज़ों से, कोई तुम्हारा क्रेडिट खा रहा है, फाइट. Always fight. Fight tactfully. You don't need to go and punch someone in the cafeteria or in the boardroom, in the meeting room. But please, like have that sense that, remember that if you get involved in politics, there is no getting out of it. एक बार स्टार्ट किया ना वो खत्म नहीं होता. Then it becomes like a playground fist fight. It's not going to end well for any one of you. And even if you win, you'll end up looking like an idiot. Okay. Stay away from people who do politics as much as possible. Focus on your work. Maybe that's wrong advice from my end, but this is what I have learned. If you're good at politics, probably do it. I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it because someone will get you one day. कोई ना कोई आपको अच्छा खासा लेगा, and people don't forget. Okay, people don't forget. That's some cynical advice I'm giving you, but people don't forget. Be careful because आप पॉलिटिक्स करोगे, कोई ना कोई किसी दिन आके तो उनको काट के चला जाएगा. सिंपली बोल रहा हूँ. एंड फोकस ऑन वर्क. या तुमको काम धंधा नहीं है क्या? बिकॉज आई टेल यू व्हाट वी डू. वी गेट वेरी इमोशनल एट वर्क. डोंट डू दैट. डोंट गेट इमोशनल एट वर्क. इसने मुझको ऐसा बोला, ये साला हमेशा ऐसा करता है, this woman does this all the time, what's her problem, man? Like, and it could be anyone, right? Junior, senior, your level, peer. It could be anyone, but like that, ऐसा किया अब मैं इसको दिखाता हूँ. So because I've been that guy. I've been that guy. Don't be that guy. It's stupid. I mean, my father's been that guy, right? When he told me don't be that guy, I didn't listen to him. And then, but luckily, at least he took 25 years to learn it. I took 5. So progress, I guess. Yeah, poor family progress. So I'll say don't get into it. It is very natural to get emotional, and by emotions don't always mean anger. I just used the example of anger because it is my most natural and common emotion. It could be sadness, disappointment. There's a lot of it. People will put you down. Situations will put you down in corporate, right? Especially big companies. Don't let it happen. Don't let it happen, right? And don't get demoralized. कोई भी आपको कुछ भी जाके बोल देगा, कुछ भी कर देगा, because as I said, it's a very impersonal environment in a lot of ways. Everyone's out there just to do their work, and that's about it, right? So don't get emotional about these things is what I would say in big companies. So yeah, get a mentor for sure. Make friends because कल कहाँ कोई काम आ जाए, you never know. I promise you, you never know कल कौन कहाँ पे काम आ जाए. Even if you want to think from a profit only perspective, I तो like to just making friends because that's my nature. But you don't have to be that, right? You are you. But so ideal average person advice I will give is, be nice to everyone. कभी भी कोई भी काम आ सकता है. मैं माँ कसम बोल रहा हूँ. You'll be like, this idiot, what is he ever going to do? You never know. You never know. Trust me. Most people are one good interview away from changing their life. That's all I'll say. Okay. I'll make another video on interviews, but just remember that. Keep good connections. Don't burn bridges. Again, I have burned bridges. Don't burn bridges. Don't take hasty decisions. Don't burn bridges with people because people will remember, and you will find people in your previous company, in your third fourth company. ओके. जो लोग तुमको लगा था 5 साल पहले, हाँ मैं इससे कर लिया, झगड़ा कर लिया, इसकी व्हाटएवर, स्क्रू दिस गाय, यू विल मीट दैट पर्सन 5 years later and they'll screw your happiness. I know people who have faced that. I know people who joined another company, some ex person from his XXX company joined. He had to leave that company because of something which came up and all of that. Okay. I'm just saying, people have long memories, don't mess with them. Big companies have this thing, and there's an ecosystem of like 5 6 7 companies. लोग ऐसे घर 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 घूमते रहते हैं अपना पूरा करियर 30 35 साल. Okay. रेड बैंक, ब्लू बैंक, ग्रीन ब्लैक, नेवी ब्लू बैंक, सेम बैंक पकड़ो या आईटी कंपनी पकड़ो, लोगों का कलर चेंज होता है, बट द people more or less keep revolving from one place to another. So just keep that in mind. Don't mess with these people in general. Try not to burn bridges. Don't take any offense to your self-respect, because that will happen a lot in big companies. You will feel what kachra work I'm doing. That is also something that you will feel. Oftentimes what you think is kachra work is very important work for big companies. It's very very important work for big companies, because यू मस्ट बी लाइक, यार मैं सिर्फ पीपीटी बना रहा हूँ, मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ, मैं फालतू प्रेजेंटेशन बना रहा हूँ जो सिर्फ इंटरनली लोग देख रहे हैं. बट फॉर दोज पीपल दैट पीपीटी इज एक्सट्रीमली इंपॉर्टेंट, बिकॉज इट इज contextualizing things. It is giving them something which they really needed to present to the board, or they needed it to come to decisions on their own. Okay. Or maybe they just needed that ppt to make themselves feel हाँ कुछ काम हो रहा है. But all in all, you have fulfilled a need. Okay. But remember this, there are needs that are only relevant to an organization, to inside the organization. If you go out in the market and say, hey, I used to do this, they'll be like, मैं क्या करूँ तेरे internal PPT का. I want to know, how did you do actual marketing? तूने कस्टमर के साथ कुछ नया कस्टमर लेके आया तू? डिड यू रन कैंपेन्स दैट? सो यू सी, यू हैव टू डू बोथ. आई एम नॉट सेइंग सिर्फ पीपीटी करना है. आई एम सेइंग दैट पीपीटी इज इंपॉर्टेंट. Do the PPT, but also do real things which are valued in the market. Which many big companies, they'll be like, fantastic, यार क्या काम कर रहा है तू, एकदम बढ़िया. But you will probably forget कि wow, I got such, wow, I got such great, praise. But that work has zero, I must be doing something great, but that work has zero value outside oftentimes. Or say 20% of the value than what it should have outside. You are stuck. What are you going to do? What are you going to do then? So big companies do that. Keep an eye out on the quality of work that you have. Okay. Do not forget, keep an eye out for the quality of work that you get in a big company. But yeah, if you have a mentor, most of these problems get solved, frankly, because they will tell you, ये फालतूगिरी पे काम मत कर, तू ये अच्छे प्रोजेक्ट पे काम कर, ऐसा कर वैसा कर. And these mentors, they stay with you even if you leave the company. Na, they stay in touch with you, and as long as you also reciprocate, right? So yeah, that was about big companies. I didn't think I would go so long, but okay. But this is about, now I'll talk about small companies and startups, right? What is the difference? So you go in a startup, right? And what happens is, you suddenly can't hide anymore. In a big company, you can hide. Nobody will know who you exist, right? Remember, you're in the mall. It's very impersonal. It's like DMart, like, sir, आओ काम करो कट लो, But startup is like a kirana store. उसके सामने 10 लोग भी खड़ा रहेगा ना, ऐसा हाथ लेगा, अरे भैया ये दे दो, भैया वो दे दो. दैट किराना स्टोर गाय knows तू कौन है. He knows your mother. He knows your father. He's seen you buy those chips from you since you were in half pants. Okay. So that kirana store guy is a very personal relationship. It's very cordial that you have. He'll never just be like, हाँ ये ले लो नया पेन बाय, ये ले लो नोटबुक बाय, कैसे हो, क्या चल रहा है. Some crap he'll talk, right? अरे मम्मी आई थी, मम्मी को बोलो ब्रेड नहीं था, अभी आ गया, मम्मी को बोलो ब्रेड लेके जाने को, या फिर आप लेके जाओ ब्रेड, आपको चाहिए क्या अभी ब्रेड. You get me? So it is a very cordial setup. Okay. And these small companies are very similar to that way. They have this whole setup where they are like, we will do better if we have, and this is a business model, mind you. You must be thinking, usko काम नहीं, uncle साले bore होता है वो किराना वाला. No, 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 no. That kirana wala is extremely smart. He's building relationship with you because he knows he can't compete with the swanky, setup that a DMart has, or a hyper, or whatever the other, Reliance Smart has, or something of that sort. And he can't deal with the volume, correct? So what a small company does, a startup does, is the founders and the leadership, if they're smart, they build a beautiful work environment where they are like, हम सब genuinely साथ साथ हैं. This is our thing. You have skin in the game. आपको ESOP दे देंगे, hopefully. And even if they don't give you that, they'll give you camaraderie. They'll be like, अरे चलो साथ में लंच करते हैं, अरे तू वीकेंड पे क्या किया, अरे अरे वो मूवी देखने चले क्या, अपन अपने काम करते हैं, कंपनी आउटिंग करते हैं, वील गो एंड वॉच दिस मूवी, इधर ही बाजू में थिएटर है, यू नो ए मेरी मम्मी ने आज ये पनीर बनाया, आप खाओगे क्या? लिटरली दीज थिंग्स हैपन इन स्मॉल कंपनीज इन स्टार्टअप्स. But in startups, these people will also start working at 8 a.m. and work till 11 p.m. on a good day. I have seen founders and leadership teams in startups come at 8 in the morning, work till 2, 3 in the night, same night, right? Sleep in the uh, you know office, because, and I would know it because I would be the first person to enter at 9 a.m. Office would start at 10 a.m. I would enter at 9 a.m. Story for another day why I was an hour early every day, but I would go there and I would see them sleeping. Okay, और ऐसा पेपर वेपर डाल के सो रहे उस पर, मेहनत देखो. दिस इज द दिस इज हाउ कंपनीज आर बिल्ट. वो लोग सो गए उधर. एंड आई एम लाइक, फर्स्ट टाइम आई सॉ इट, आई एम लाइक, ओ माय गॉड, इधर पार्टी वार्टी हो गया, दारू पी के सो गया. बाद में मेरे को रियलाइज हो गया कि हर दिन तो नहीं कर सकते, दीज पीपल वर एक्चुअली वर्किंग. So they were like, ki, okay, our employees can leave at like 7, 8 p.m., but we have to stay here until the work gets done. Like that's non-negotiable, right? So there is a lot of skin in the game. The work culture is extremely good, compared to um, big companies more often than not, right? There's a lot of camaraderie. The hard work is insane because big company you can, come at 9, leave at 5, people are happy, although that's changing now, and small companies will be like, bro, we can't compensate for the volume and the, everything else that these big companies have. In fact, we can't even pay you as much oftentimes. Nowadays it's changing because of venture capitalist money. So that is one of the major changes that have happened. But these small companies, they will give you such excellent work, you know, and they will usually have young people because young people have more time to give to companies. Don't forget, they do not love you because your skin is clear, your hair is better, okay, and you get the latest jokes and memes. They hire young people because you can work longer, you have zero responsibilities, more or less, and you can't say ki, sorry, I have to go home, my family is calling me. I have had bosses ask me, why do you stop working at 10 p.m.? तेरे को है भी क्या? You don't have a family, you live alone. I don't see a reason for you to not work at 10 p.m. This has happened with me. I don't want it to happen to you. Please remember. And I won't, and this is across, right? Big company, small company, this can happen. It depends on the bosses and the culture. But in a small company, you will get excellent work because, as I said, you can't hide. काम किसी को तो करना ही है. So because the founders are in a way gambling, right? Ki, will this idea work or not? Or will this, uh, model work or not? So they are like, and they'll hire anyone and everyone because the barrier is low and the regulations are low and the requirements are low. And they will go out there and hire people. And if you're one of them, you will get such exceptional work. If you prove yourself, you can do work, you can achieve expertise in 2 years in a startup, which you won't be able to do in 5 to 6 years at a big company. Literally, if not more. I know people who have worked in big companies for 7, 8 years, and the startup dude has overtaken them in 2, 2.5 years because they are like, कि ये आता है ना, कर ले, तू कर ले, just keep going and doing things until you fail. That is the attitude of a small company or a startup, right? And you must have seen it, like these smaller companies, they move very fast, and they're also reckless at times. They take a lot of risk and they keep doing things which may or may not work because for them, hitting gold is more about how often can they keep hitting something and how well can they keep hitting something, and just कुछ भी चलेगा, मेरे को result चाहिए. That is how a small company works. A big company is like, bro, listen, for the last 20 years, these things have worked well. We are not going to mess with it. Okay? We're not going to mess with it. आराम से चलने का, सीधा चलने का, ज़्यादा हीरो नहीं बनने का. That is the difference between the two. So which is why you get that opportunity in a startup to do much more and to do much better, if you ask me, frankly. Even if the work culture goes to hell in a smaller company, you will be able to work on projects that are way better than a big company does, on an average at least, right? In a smaller company, you may or may not need a mentor, but if you have one, always go for it. Never, it will never harm you, right? Always get a mentor as much as possible. So that's how small companies work. What is the problem with a small company or a startup? Small companies and startups, they oftentimes have a lot of challenge with funding. You know, they are like the good ones, I would say, and by good I mean the ones that know how to run a business, who are profitable. And even if they're not profitable, like forget it, like Amazon didn't turn a profit for a long time. I think, 6 7 years they didn't turn a profit. So you can't judge a company, and look where Amazon is now today. So if you are looking at smaller companies, startups and all, they're very frugal, you know or they spend like crazy. There is no financial discipline. Okay. So usually there is a very abnormal financial monetary environment, ki if you want to, for your function, you want to buy a software, you will get 10,000 questions. Why do you need it? Why can't you do it with the normal one? हाँ, तो ऐसे गरीबी वाला फील आता है, थोड़ा थोड़ा गरीबी वाला फील आता है. Like I have seen in some companies, they were rationing the milk that was in the tea. They are like, इससे ज़्यादा milk आप नहीं यूज़ कर सकते, वो थोड़ा खर्चा ज़्यादा हो रहा है. Or the tea that was coming in every day, now it is paid. If you want to make it, the milk is rationed. So I've seen that, and I've seen that in big companies where they were like, Ki, the coffee, if you want, hey, it's paid. You can't take free coffee from a coffee machine. Can you imagine? These companies, they post thousands of crores of profit in, quarterly profit, not revenue, profit. And they are like, you have to pay us 15 rupees for a coffee. It's subsidized. बाहर तो 50 का मिलता है, 100 का मिलता है. And it's that machine वाला coffee, by the way, which has like वो जो मतलब दुनिया भर का जो कचरा रहता है, वो जब प्रोसेस होके कहीं जाता है, वो कॉफ़ी मशीन में जाता है कंपनी के. ऑलवेज रिमेंबर दैट. सो that's what I'm trying to tell you, right? Like चिंदीगिरी कहीं पे भी हो सकती है, बड़े कंपनी में भी, छोटे कंपनी में. बट छोटे कंपनी में द चांसेस आर मोर, or they can just overspend like crazy and you will think this is normal, which is when it is not. Okay. So remember that in a small company, they will probably give you a 25% hike one day, or like literally like wow, 25% hike, 40% hike, 50% hike, promotion ek saal mein. They have to do those things. That can happen in a small company. Or they can call you tomorrow and be like, hey, sorry, month on month nahi ho raha hai, we are letting you go. Big companies won't do that. Big companies will keep you for a year, and they'll be like, ठीक है यार, PIP VIP पे डालेंगे, नाटक करेंगे. They're like, performance improvement करो, देखते कैसा होता है, and shit like that, right? So that is something which I think is the biggest thing which no one talks about. Everything else is flashy. Job security is the most important thing. Never forget that. Big companies, more often than not, their balance sheets are really strong, so they can take you on for a while. They can carry you even if you're not performing well, or if they are not performing well, for that matter, more often than not, right? Oh, and by the way, just because a big company has a lot of money does not mean they have budgets for you. Does not mean they have budgets for you. In fact, they have mastered over decades or years how to ration the company budget. Okay. If they have big budgets, they have big expectations also. So that money needs to be spent in such an efficient manner. At times you will lose your mind ki, oh my god, why are they being so chindi? Why is this something which could have taken 1 week to get done is taking 2 months, and we are already running far away, like far late on our priorities and what we were supposed to work on our deliverables. तो छोटा सा छोटा चीज में भी चिंदीगिरी होता है बड़े कंपनी में. रिमेंबर दैट मच. In a small company, if you want a software, if you want it today, you will get it day after tomorrow at max. Max चल एक हफ्ता. Like you just get the founder's credit card and it gets done. And this is something I'm talking from 7 8 years ago, right? Like long back, many years ago. I've seen this. I've seen these things happen in my friends' lives, in my life. I've seen these things happen. So you feel, oh wow, I don't have to bang my head over just procuring a simple software. So in a small company, you're actually working for yourself and for the customers, for the product, for yourself. In a big company, you're working for the company first, then you're working for yourself, and third, you're working for the customer. So customer centricity is extremely lost in most cases in big companies. So that is the the major point is what I would say. Learning आपको दोनों जगह पे मिल सकती है. Learning आपको दोनों जगह पे मिल सकती है, depends on your position. See, oftentimes a company is nothing but your boss and the four people around you. ठीक है, बड़ा कंपनी छोटा कंपनी, oftentimes a company, your life, your professional life at times is just who your boss is and who are the four people around you. Are you happy with them? Great. Are you not happy with them? Sucks. That's it. That's it. You know, that's all that there is to it. Because a company can have shitty culture and your boss is good, he'll shield you from it, she'll shield you from it, good for you. A company can have great culture and the boss is horrible. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? So depends a lot on luck also, right? So you can't be like, अरे बड़े कंपनी में ऐसा होता है, छोटी कंपनी में वैसा होता है. वैसा नहीं होता. Oftentimes it is that cocoon that you are living in, working in rather, which really determines your state of happiness, right? I don't know why this is a 36-minute video, but it is now. But yeah, this is what I think are the major differences between big companies and small companies. I would say everyone should work in a big company and a small company because it teaches you a lot about human nature, right? And also you have huge opportunity to earn money, good money, in both companies, right? Both types of companies. And at times you are like, यार थोड़ा, if you ever think कि relax करना है, बड़े company में जाऊंगा, ऐसे बैठूंगा, अब नहीं होता. Not necessary. Okay, not necessary at all. So because things are changing now, big companies, at least in India, have become very smart. They know how to efficiently operationalize everything. Okay, so I'm just saying. So धीरे धीरे इनका differences कम हो जाएगा, but there are certain things which will never change, right? Because as I said, managing your cousin party with 4 cousins and 15 cousins is very, very different. So yeah, that's all from me today. This was Paul Kibol. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Thank you so much. I think we have crossed like 150 subscribers. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This has been amazing. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.